I'll get it down eventually. Hey, welcome back, everybody. He has acted in over 80 movies, including Training Day, Boyhood, and First Reformed. He now stars in a series he created and executive produces called The Good Lord Bird. Please welcome to A Late Show, Ethan Hawke. Ethan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, we'll get into this a little later in the interview. I just want to start off by just saying how much I'm loving Good Lord Bird. I mean, it's based on a true man. It's crazy at the same time. It's tragic. It's funny. There's a lot to talk about. But first, I want to talk about theater, because I know you're a theater guy. You know, you're Tony nominated. You've directed Broadway. What did you make of the theater of the debate the other night? How would you deconstruct that as a director?
Okay, well, that's a great question. My first response is watching it. It kind of seemed like that moment in Star Wars when General Palpatine reveals that he's the Sith Lord, that was my first thought. But that's cinema. So you're asking about theater. If it was theater, I would say that debate could have been written if David Mamet did 14 lines of crystal meth, stayed up all night and wrote a short play about the downfall of the United States of America. But he couldn't get De Niro and Pacino, so he had to get two understudies from Burt Reynolds' dinner theater and just shove them on and said, "Go." That's the theater I thought it was.
Now there are still undecided voters out there. And I'm from South Carolina. I've got friends back home who are fans of the president. Do you still stay in touch? You've got roots in Texas. Do you still have friends back home who supported the president?
Oh, of course, man. I mean, that's my family's from Texas, and whenever we get into this thing that we think somebody else is evil, we've lost our path, really. The truth of the matter is, what I hear from my family is immense sadness, even from the family members that voted for Trump, about the level of misinformation and how much they're preying on people's fear and greed. And there's a kind of sadness coming from my family that he's not who they had hoped he was. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that they like the Democratic Party, but if nothing else, I hate to say it, it's an overriding sadness.
I would agree. I think there's a sense of grief and loss right now for a lot of Americans, even the people who supported the president, because they see things that are precious to them being attacked.
Yeah, you can't be a serious Christian and respond to some of the things that he says. Not really. You can't. You can't accept that kind of leadership, and it doesn't matter. He's broken down political parties. My family members, George H. Bush is a very serious person. That's a formidable human being who's educated and dedicated his life for what he believed was the betterment of the United States of America. And he did a lot of great things. And see, that's when you're talking about Republicans and Democrats. And we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about somebody fanning the flames of our inability to see each other. It's even take the pandemic, for example. We're kind of given this false argument, we have to decide between the economy and our health, as if we're grown-ups. We're responsible adults and parents, and we have to do both. We have to keep people healthy, and we have to keep the economy going. It's a false argument that one side of the team is for something, and it creates this chaos of dualistic thinking that makes everybody smaller than what we really are.
Well, all of that is a perfect lead up to the show that you're on here to talk about, the Good Lord Bird, where you play John Brown. Here is a photo of you playing John Brown. That is, I haven't gotten this far in the show yet, but you will eventually look like this in it, right?
Yeah.
So here's a guy who was in a time of chaos, took his Bible very seriously, was fine with dividing people. Tell for the people who don't know, who was John Brown?
Okay, well, that's a good question. John Brown was a nonviolent abolitionist until he was about 51 years old. His grandfather fought with George Washington. He had a big problem with the Constitution and its relationship to the equality of mankind. So he became a staunch abolitionist. And then, so John Brown was this man's grandson. His father was an abolitionist and he was an abolitionist. And when his sons went down to settle in Kansas, because Kansas was a territory, right? This is a brief history, but Kansas was a territory, and it was about to become a state. And if it went pro-slave, that was going to throw the Senate one way. And if it went as a free state, it would throw the Senate another way. So the abolitionists were trying to move to Kansas so they could vote against slavery. And the cotton barons and all the big money from the South was sending poor people from Missouri and, Arkansas. They're sending them to Kansas to settle, to vote for slavery. And this turned into bloody Kansas. And so people started attacking John Brown's sons. And after a lifetime of being a nonviolent abolitionist, he decided that sometimes you have to just force people to understand the truth. And he was a Calvinist, and he was a very, very serious Christian who took the idea that we were all made by the same maker to heart. And he went down there to remind everybody, and he was willing to get in a fight. Now, to his great surprise, I played the man. I think he thought he was going to get killed really quickly. To his great surprise, he ended up being great at gunfighting. And he went on and led a raid. He took over the nation's largest armory at Harper's Ferry with a bunch of white folks and black folks working together. They took it over, hoping to incite a revolution. Now, he failed at that, but what he succeeded to do was to wake up and shame the white Christian North Americans, the Americans of the North. And about 16 months after he was hung, the Civil War started.
This is an incredibly, in some ways, a very dark story, an incredibly dramatic story. It's also funny at the same time. What did you intend? I know you intended. What I mean to say is, did you know that you could get away with this, to make John Brown not only a dramatic, sort of prophetic figure, but also an extremely flawed and funny one at the same time?
You know this better than anybody. If you yell at people and you preach at them and you tell them they're wrong and you try to teach them what's the right thing to do, nobody wants to hear that. If you make them laugh, they can see the truth of what you're saying and they don't feel attacked. And the genius magic trick of James McBride, the author of this story, he won the National Book Award in 2013, is he makes you laugh and makes your heart throb with love and healing over our country's greatest wound.
It has been so long since John Brown was hanged in 1859, but what do you think this story speaks to in our present time of racial reckoning in 2020?
Well, what I hope that people can see is that our country's been here before. The blood has already been shed. We knocked down this doorway. There's a line in the show that McBride writes about Harriet Tubman says the doorstep of change is open. Freedom is there. We just have to walk through it. And I think people like Harriet Tubman and John Brown and Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth, these people would be heartbroken to see that young people today have to march, and they have to. We have to. We have to demand social justice. We have to walk through this door. And I think they would be shocked. None of these people wanted that bloodshed any more than you or I do. None of these people wanted violence, but we already did this. And the John Brown story puts a microscope, this expression here, everybody throwing around systemic racism. John Brown, if you look at his story, it turns the microscope to the DNA with which this country was built. And it's got some design flaws. From the zoning of our cities to our school system, to our police force, to the way that we think and treat each other. It's got some fundamental design flaws. And if we can't talk about it and laugh about it and say the wrong thing and forgive each other and work towards it, then the dialogue keeps shutting down. And when the dialogue shuts down, nothing's going to get better. That's my thought. That's my soapbox.
Well done. Well done. The Good Lord Bird premieres Sunday night on Showtime. Ethan Hawke, everybody. We'll be right back with former lead prosecutor for the Mueller investigation, Andrew Weissmann.